What up, everybody? One of the overarching characters from OG Power was the father of James St. Patrick, mentioned in the very first episode of the series as the inspiration of Ghost opening Club Truth, and also mentioned in episode 610, the final episode where Ghost was shot before the final Who Shot Ghost series. In this episode, we found out that Ghost's father was killed. The story came out of the mouth of Ghost's uncle, Gabe. Gabe told Ghost that he tried to tell his father that they need to pay those drug dealers to leave them alone, but Ghost's father told him that it would bankrupt them. Then he said maybe he was right, but I lay awake at night thinking about it all the time. Ghost tried telling Gabe that he didn't have to, and Gabe told Ghost, I got to know that you understand. I tried to tell him not to talk to the police, that those kids were bad news. And that's all we really know about the death of Ghost's father. But by dissecting those words, we can take away a few things regarding Ghost's father's death. That there were drug dealers involved. That they were bothering Ghost's father and Gabe about something, because Gabe tried to convince Ghost's father to pay them off to leave them alone. This makes me ask the question, what was Ghost's father and Gabe into in the first place that they got tied up with some drug dealers, where the drug dealers started causing problems to the point Gabe thought the best decision was to pay them off. But Ghost's father didn't see that as a good idea, telling Gabe that paying off the drug dealers would bankrupt them. Because of this, Ghost's father felt like his only option was to turn to the police. Then Gabe mentions to Ghost that those kids were bad news. This is likely talking about the same kids that killed Ghost's father. And Ghost's father was likely ultimately killed because he went to snitch to the police about whatever was going on. And this leaves another question. Is the drug dealers that was messing with Ghost's father and Gabe the same people? Or did Ghost's father talking to the cops result in somebody getting locked up? And the kids that Gabe was talking about possibly worked for the drug dealer that got locked up and killed Ghost's father for snitching on their boss. Or the kids that Gabe was talking about was the drug dealers that he first mentioned. One thing we do know is that turning to the police ultimately didn't work out for Ghost's father because of the fact that he was killed as a result. In season 3 of Raising Kanan, after Rock bought Southside Plaza, she started getting harassed by two dirty cops that wanted Rock to pay them for protection. With that said, there's a chance that Ghost's father turned to the wrong cops and only made things worse because they were on the drug dealer's payroll. Get me to the question, who killed Ghost's father? Is it a character we've met already in Power of Raising Kanan, or possibly even Book 2, or was it a character that we haven't seen on screen yet? The first character we have to consider is Ghost himself, possibly in a parallel situation to when Tariq shot Ghost. The primary reason that Tariq shot Ghost in the first place was because Ghost was trying to force him to turn himself in for killing Ray Ray. Just like Ghost's father was killed for talking to the cops. Something key also to keep in mind is the fact that Ghost insisted that Vincent forced Tommy to kill his own father, Tony Teresi. Was this because Ghost killed his own father? And just like Ghost and his father, why'd Tommy kill Tony Teresi? It was because he was snitching. So there's a chance that Tommy was involved in Ghost killing his own father. Maybe it was Tommy who casted the deciding vote for Ghost to kill his own father. Or maybe Tommy was the main one trying to convince Ghost that he needed to kill his father, just like he was primarily who forced Ghost to kill Roller by mistake. And after Ghost's father was killed, he never came back around after that night. He told Gabe he went to live with Tommy, then called him the only white boy in the neighborhood, and asked Gabe if he remembered him. I feel like the reason Ghost never came back around was because he likely had a guilty conscience for killing his own father. Ghost even said at one point he never wanted to go back there again. Also keep in mind that Angela had recently left for Choate at the time Ghost's father died. He told Angela, when my father died, I thought you would at least came back then. So Ghost was already going through some kind of depression at the time after losing the love of his life. Tommy also said in episode 1, after Angela left, it seriously fucked Ghost up. And because Ghost was in a bad place, he might have killed his own father. Something else to keep in mind is that Gabe told Ghost that his father would be happy he came back and bought the place, and said that his father would be proud of him. But Ghost said, he'd be proud of me now, Uncle Gabe. He'd be proud of me now. Not to mention that Ghost's body language during this conversation with Gabe showed that Ghost was clearly still bothered by his father's death and had been suppressing it for all those years, and that's possibly why Ghost had a drinking problem as a kid. For example, the image I have on the screen right now, it shows Ghost showing an expression of guilt, and Gabe making a face behind Ghost's back like he also knew Ghost killed his own father. I personally think that most of the evidence points in the direction of Ghost killing his own father, but the most popular theory about what happened to Ghost's father is that he was killed by either Breeze or Kanan. My question is, what would either Kanan or Breeze gain from killing Ghost's father? We know that Ghost worked the corner for Kanan and Breeze from the time he was a young kid, starting out as a lookout. As it was once said by Pauls that Ghost was playing lookout for those gangsters. The only incentive I can really think about for Breeze or Kanan to kill Ghost's father is that they were trying to sell product out of his bar. Similar to how Lou had a music showcase in season 1 and didn't want any product being sold at the event. And also similar to how Ghost didn't want to move any product out of Club Truth, but was eventually forced to anyway by Milan. Possibly Gabe and Ghost's father talked to Kanan and Breeze and asked them to stop slanging out of their bar. And when they refused to is when Ghost's father talked to the cops and they killed him as a result. The problem I have with this theory is that I think Ghost would have had a problem with Breeze and Kanan for killing his father. And yes, Ghost killed Breeze, but he didn't want to and told Tariq he gave Breeze one last chance. And Tasha tried to convince Ghost to kill Kanan, but he said he loved him like a brother and sent him to prison instead. If they were involved in his father's death, I think he would have happily killed either one of them out of revenge for his father. But one wild card here is Famous. We never heard any mention of Famous in Power. This might be because he went to prison for killing Freddy and is sentenced to life. But what if Breeze and Kanan were involved in Ghost's father's death and they pinned it on Famous, which leads to Ghost killing Famous? But because Ghost was likely the smartest character on the whole show, I don't think they were able to just manipulate him like that. If we were talking about Tommy, maybe, but not Ghost. The next character to consider is Gabe himself. Gabe said he tried to kill Ghost's father, not to talk to the cops. What if Ghost's father turned into the cops, left Gabe without any kind of choice, but to do what he had to do and kill Ghost's father? Otherwise, he might have been targeted also because he was associated with a rat. A few other characters' names I want to throw out there is Mecca, Davis McLean, and RSJ. We know that Mecca was arrested around 17 years old and sent to the military. What if Ghost's father actually snitched on Mecca and Mecca killed him before going to the military? Concerning Davis McLean, keep in mind how much he was trying to avoid working with Tariq in season 1, telling him he needed a $500,000 liquid up front just to talk to him. This could be because he was trying to avoid Tariq because he was involved in his grandfather's death. Keep in mind that we already know that Davis did kill at least one person back in the day, the same person who Theo took the fall for and went to prison for killing. What if the person who was actually killed by Davis was Ghost's father? Maybe the kids who were bad news was Davis and Theo. And the last person I have to mention is RSJ. I think this is the least likely scenario, but RSJ was interested in Tariq and said he was familiar with his father, and also agreed with Tariq that most people have two faces, one public and one private. And there you have it. Let me know who you think killed Ghost's father in the comment section.